So with the release date of Battlefield 6 coming up and the amazing success of the beta, all I can say is, wow, this is something that we haven't seen in over a decade. A modern Battlefield game that looks like it could actually bring back a bit of competition into the FPS genre. A game that could actually make its competitors actually care about the games again. And when I talk about the success of Battlefield 6's beta, it was one of the best betas out there, if you could play it. But even though I couldn't play it, just seeing the gameplay and how everybody is talking about this game does give me real hope on the success of this game. And after seeing what they call the next Call of Duty game and what it looks like, ew! Yeah, I want Battlefield 6 to do well. But even after everything that has happened, I'm still very skeptical on this game, because when was the last time we actually had a good Battlefield game? And no, you cannot include the beta. It's been a long while since you can actually say a Battlefield game has been good from start to finish. And with the community saying that we should not pre-order this game to quickly changing their minds, is it that smart with the recent history of this franchise? So I thought this would be the perfect time for us to talk about all the games and have a look back at the Battlefield franchise. Well, at least the more modern releases. And just have a look to see if there really is something worse going on behind the scenes, or has it just been a weird decade and a bit of a blip in the system? So, join me in what the hell happened to Battlefield. Now, I would also like to show you all something, and that is our sponsor, Dubby. Now, Dubby is the best place to get your energy in some absolutely amazing flavors. Do you need to stay up late to get that next win in your favorite game, or are you heading to the gym to smash another PB? Well, Dubby has you covered, and with the best part of the whole thing is that you will get no jitters. So if you want to try some Dubby today, use the code BLAZINGPhoenix at checkout for your 10% discount. Link will be in the description below. So before we even get started, I just want to say a few things. One, if you want to buy the new Battlefield game, that's completely fine. I'm not your mum, I'm not going to tell you what to do. When I do these videos, these are meant for entertainment purposes, just to have a look back and see what we've had before in these series. Two, I want this game to succeed. I want there to be an actual change, and I want to see these massive AAA companies making these amazing AAA games and stop being dog shit. I want games to be good again. I want to see people when this game comes out coming back onto this video and commenting about how amazing Battlefield 6 actually is. I don't want games to fail, I want them to all succeed. So now that I've actually said that and people don't think I'm just trying to rage bait them, let's actually get started and see why Battlefield has fallen so far off of its high pedestal. So when I was thinking about making this video, I didn't really think it was going to be super necessary to talk about every single game, because this video, if it was about every single game, is going to go for hours and hours and hours. So being a what the hell happened video, I thought the best thing is, why don't we start with where I believe the problems kind of started with this series. And I think the perfect point to start would be Battlefield Hardline, or as some people would call it, the Battlefield 4 DLC that should have been. Now, when Battlefield Hardline came out, it came out right after the success of Battlefield 4, and some people say that that was the beginning of the shitstorm, but I don't really agree with that. And that's because this game here is where the numbers start to really regress. Now, for anybody who might not know, this game was a cops and robbers with the Battlefield IP attached to it. Now, this is not a bad thing, not at all, but it was nothing really like any of the other Battlefield games. This took the massive maps that we're used to and changed them to smaller, more congested maps. And these maps were usually in the cities, kind of compared to the normal Battlefield games where they would have cities and everything else as well, like open fields. Now, to talk the positives about this game, they really used their map design well. Even though they were smaller, these maps just had so much in them, it never felt like it had any sort of open space that you could just, get lost in with nothing happening. Now, the cops and robbers aspect of this game was such a cool direction for the game series, and I love the idea, but a whole game under the Battlefield title, it might have been a little bit too much. Now, the game was really fun, but what most people compared this to was just a Battlefield 4 DLC. The cops and robbers version of this game, and there was a pretty good reason for this. The first reason was really using that Frostbite-free engine. It really just made the game feel way too similar to Battlefield 4. Even though the pacing might have been a little bit different and the maps were smaller and it was a completely different vibe, it really just could have been a DLC for Battlefield 4. That's at least what the community was shouting. And even though the game was still very good, the community just started dipping from this title, and people were just consuming less and less for this game and going back to Battlefield 4. And this had a bit of a funnel effect where, because the community wanted to watch Battlefield 4, content creators stopped uploading Hardline, what made the majority of the community just go back to Battlefield 4. And yes, this effect was way worse on PC compared to console, but every single platform felt this effect. But the game still did really decent. It did get a great number of players when it first came out, even if the numbers started to drop pretty quickly and became lower than Battlefield 4. So when I look back at this game, it was published by EA, and the team that was working on it worked on other Battlefield games. But since it's nothing like other Battlefield games, I feel like this game really did get held down just by the name alone. And if it got the chance to have a go with this game, it was actually pretty fun. Now, not to stay on this topic for too long because it really isn't the biggest culprit, but we need to look at the next game that would come out. And out of everything we're going to be talking about today, it would be the most successful, and that is none other than Battlefield 1. Now, I don't think this game could have been timed any better, where Call of Duty, their biggest competitor, had just made one of the biggest fumbles of their lifetime. The community was asking for them to go back to their old roots, as the community was sick and tired of flying around in jetpacks. So they revealed Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Yay! And it became one of, if not the most disliked video on YouTube. But on the other end, Battlefield was cooking with a World War I simulator, and it looked amazing. And when this game finally released, it was a success because it was what the gamers wanted, a game that was boots on the ground, gritty, and actually showing what it was like to be on the fields of World War I. And when I talk about this game, it just brings back memories with the boys, storming buildings, sniping, bayonet charging, and dying to those fuckwits on horses every time. They would just be right up your ass. It's okay, take it easy. No need to break a blood vessel. And who can forget about all the big things that you would get if you were losing, like the armored train, the dreadnought, or my personal favorite, the Zeppelin, or the blimp, or whatever you want to call it. This was such a cool and fun thing for them to add into the game that gave the losing side a chance to come back, and just another level to the game. And the game was really based around these new massive things that you could summon to help you swing the tide of battle. And let's just be honest, this game absolutely farmed aura. Whenever you played it, it just was a visual masterpiece. But this game was not perfect. It was amazing, but not perfect. This game did do something that I was not a major fan of, and it left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. And that was the lack of weapons and just using the same thing every single time because there was only a few weapons in the game. Now, as the game continued, they added lots and lots of new things, but when it launched, each class had like no weapons. Now, yes, if you didn't look properly, it looked like a lot until you realize they all had the same name. So where a lot of other games might have like 6 or 7 assault rifles on launch, this game only had like 4 guns for the assault class, plus the prestige 10 gun or whatever level it was that you got those guns. And they were all just the same few guns with different attachments or different names. And this is the problem for every class. And look, I know that this is World War I, but when you see this massive list of variants that, yes, did change the way guns would perform, it was still just disappointing in my opinion. But out of everything, that was the only thing that I didn't really like about this game. There was way more that I liked about it, including the new operations mode that it brought in, and if you don't remember this, it was just like a massive war on the front lines where one team had to push the other team back, kind of like Rush. But this one, the attacking team had multiple tries to get to the end of this massive game, and it expanded over 2 or 3 maps. And this shit was amazing. It really made you feel like a well-oiled team when you finally finished it. But this game did do something that would become a bit of a trend in the next few entries in the series, and that would be how EA took more of a controlling role over the game development compared to DICE. Now, this would mean some really bad shit in later titles, but thankfully it wasn't too bad here, and it was pretty tame. But because of the success of this game, it gave them the green light to continue doing this in the future games. And that brings us to Battlefield 5. Staying with the World War theme, this game focuses on World War II compared to its predecessor. And I don't know about you, but World War II's setting is much better than World War I setting. So this looks like the natural upgrade from the last title. But most people didn't even get to the gameplay at launch. And this might sound weird, but you'll understand soon and where the real downfall for this game came from. So when this game came out, it was like any other game, first releasing with a trailer. And look, if you're not really paying much attention, this might have slipped through, But if you open your eyes, you can see something that upset a lot of the Battlefield fans. So I'm going to play you a 9-second clip.
Fuck it! Hello, old friend.
Yeah, so her. This is what a lot of the fan base was mad about. Now, let me be honest, I bet there are some incels that were mad that there is a woman here because they're always hiding in the corner somewhere. But what most players actually had a problem with was that this looked like they were trying to push some woke agenda into the Battlefield series. It's not that she was a woman, but it was that she was a woman who was jumping around with one arm and treating this like it wasn't the biggest war this planet had ever seen. Now look, I am not a massive fan of the woke agenda. I just personally think that a loud minority of them go out of their way to ruin everything that's fun. So I understand why people would be upset by this when all they wanted was a World War II simulator that they can all play with their friends. But let's be honest, this is not going to stop the sales of the game. So why am I talking about this? Well, that's because it didn't just stop here. One of the lead developers made a post about this game after the negative feedback. And the post goes like this. I knew this was going to be a fight when I pushed for female soldiers in Battlefield. I have a daughter, and I just don't want to ever have to answer the question of why can't I make a character that looks like me, with the statement, because you're a girl. I fundamentally feel, to my core, this is the right way, and I will find myself on the right side of history. And I think many people will play the game despite their reservations, and maybe learn something about either history or themselves. This is part of making games art. But the thing is, people were not mad about there being women in Battlefield 5. They were upset that they were picturing this fictional character when they could have used someone from history, as there were lots of women who fought and helped out in the war, and the community was quick to say this. And if they wanted to push on about lesser known wars, why did they have to use this fictional quirky character? It really just felt like a political statement that actually wanted to talk about than actual women who fought in these wars. And even if we go and look at one of the campaign missions, you play as a young Norwegian woman with her mum who disabled German war shipments in Norway. The true story was Operation Gunsider, where 5 Norwegian commandos sabotaged the entire supply of German heavy water production that was going to be used for nuclear energy and nuclear weapons research, and they accomplished this mission without firing a single shot, blew the charges on the heavy water chambers, and they skied away for over 300 kilometers. And when they mentioned the real story in the game, it was only mentioned by a few lines of credit. So if we look back at the post from earlier, even though it might have had good intentions, people really got locked into the parts of it being the right side of history and because you're a girl. And this is because how could the game even be about the right side of history when the game was all based off fiction and did not even show history through a historical figure or character? Now, people agreed that having women in this game was good, but putting fictional characters into the spotlight was just not the right way to do it. Oh yeah, and there's also the British guy with the Japanese sword. So let's just forget that that was in there too, because you know what, with this game and everything in the trailer, it was just fucking wacky and crazy. Now, I don't want to go on this for too long, so I'm going to mention one of the biggest things that hurt this game before it even released, and after everything we've already spoken about. So the ex-EA chief executive took it everything just a step further by stating that anybody who was upset with how women were portrayed in Battlefield 5 was uneducated and that they had to either accept it or don't buy the game. And fans listened, with it being the worst recent Battlefield by pre-orders, as most of the community cancelled their pre-orders of the game, and the number that dropped by was like 85%. Like, holy fuck. And this was so bad for EA that their stock fell by 13% in one day, what is massive and a big loss for the company. So one of the biggest things is don't treat your community like idiots, don't call them uneducated when they are the ones who are filling your pockets, and the sad part about this is the game collapsed before it even released. So even if the gameplay was fun, it really didn't even matter because the damage was already done. So you have to think, it can't get much worse than that, right? Well, welcome to Battlefield 2042. Now, there's a part of me that doesn't even want to talk about this game because it is so famously bad that people who have never played this game know how bad it is. So it just kind of feels like a waste of my breath, but here we go anyway. let's get the elephant out of the room and let's talk about the state of the game on launch. It was terrible. The game barely functioned. You could shoot somebody and not do any damage to them. Yes, there were funny glitches like the hovercraft going up buildings, what I have lots of good memories of, but most of them were just game breaking and shit.
Helicopter! No!
What else? Oh yeah, the new specialist system where they tried to turn Battlefield into a hero shooter. What really didn't sit well with the community as a whole, as this took everything away from all the class systems that people grew to love and really took away from any rewarding playstyles. Okay, so we spoke about the bugs and the classes being removed. What about how they were originally going to put a battle royale into this game and scrapped it last minute? Yes, a battle royale, because that's what the Battlefield fans wanted in their war simulator, a battle royale. Thank fuck this got cut, but unfortunately this came at the cost of the game, like how there was no scoreboards on release or even fucking game chat. Like, this is the basics of making an online shooter. How can you fuck up a AAA title this badly? Like, I know that there was a bunch of new developers on this game, but that should be a priority to at least have a scoreboard on release. Now let's talk about something that was supposed to make this game great, and that was now having 128 players in a lobby compared to the 64 beforehand. Now, this sounded like a great feature that would make all the fights even bigger, and this sounds really cool and definitely could be amazing. But this game just didn't make it work. It either felt like there was too much going on in certain areas, or that the maps were too big for this many players. It had the same problem as many other games, just now with more players. But I do like the idea of more players if the maps were just designed better. Now, this game dropped 2 new modes, and those were Hazard Zone and Portal. Hazard Zone was based on popular extraction-based games, and it didn't have very good balancing, and it just kind of felt like a less fleshed out game mode compared to all the other modes. It also had no long-term progression and support for this mode, so it basically just almost died instantaneously, and it was a real letdown. Now, Portal. This mode had all the potential in the world, and it was praised when the game was first released. This mode basically let players create their own games using assets from previous games, and this was sick, as it let you basically make your own Battlefield games, and it was very cool. Now, this was supposed to replace the server list, but this mode, like the rest of the game, was just affected by bugs and balancing issues and was just filled with XP farms, just ruining the fun of the game mode. And because of this, DICE had to limit this game mode, so it never really took off because it just became a way to exploit the game and it never offered what was promised. And because this replaced the server list, guess what? There wasn't servers that you could just join into on launch unless it was this new Portal mode. What really affected the game in a negative way. And because of all this, the game suffered. And I know I'm keeping this quick, but these were just some of the major issues that this game was plagued by. Now, when it comes to this game, the team has worked on it throughout its entire life to make the game better. Look, the game's still not very good, but it is amazing compared to what it was on launch. And hearing this and seeing this is actually a positive sign, not to just kill this game because it was bad, but to actively work to try and fix it. So I guess it's a time where we're going to talk about Battlefield 6. And all I can say is, yeah, the game looks really good. They are promising a lot of things, and the beta was amazing. And all signs right now are leading to the success of this game. And I really hope that this is good, but I won't be pre-ordering it, as I want to stand by what the community originally stood by, and that's to stop giving these massive corporations all of our money until we know these games are actually going to be good. Right now, we have no idea if this game is actually going to be good. Yes, it looks good after the beta, but will it stay that way on launch? And I really do hope that it is a good game. So in my opinion, what nobody really cares about, we should wait and see if this game is actually good. There'll be YouTubers, so there's going to be people buying this game anyway, so we're going to see gameplay, and when we actually see whether it's fun or not, then we can decide after the release of the game if we're going to get it. And I'll say this again, I really do hope this game is good, as I want there to be good competition out there for other games, so we, the consumers, get the best possible games out there, and not just the equivalent of a Lizzo sitting on our chest. So yeah, that's my opinion. I think that this will be the best Battlefield game that we have seen for a while, But we should all, wait and actually see if the game's going to be any good before we spend our hard-earned money on it. And if you don't agree with me, well, I don't care. It's your money. You can do what you want. As I said earlier, I'm not your mum. So if you really want to buy the game and pre-order it, go right ahead. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you don't miss any future uploads. And hey, come join in on the Discord server and have a chat with us. And don't forget to use the discount code BlazingPhoenix for 10% at the checkout when you buy anything from Dubby. Link will be in the description below for all of those things. Well, I guess that's the end of the video. What are you still doing here? Go watch something else.